It all started on a crisp Tuesday morning in late September, when the world tilted sideways faster than I could finish my first coffee. My buddy Nate was pounding on my back door like a man possessed, his eyes wild, his breath ragged, pointing toward the RVYNE that hugged the edge of my property in Sunny Ridge, Nevada. "Jake, you gotta see this," he gasped, barely coherent. "It's her. She's lost it." I set my mug down, the Nevada sun already clawing through the morning chill. It was 7:30 a.m., and I had a sinking feeling this wasn't about a misplaced trash can. Her, of course, was Claudia Vance, our HOA president, a woman who wielded her clipboard like a scepter and treated the neighborhood covenants like holy scripture. "Nate, slow down," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's Claudia done now? Another lecture on mailbox uniformity?" He shook his head, his face pale. "The fire break, Jake. The one old man Carver always kept clear behind your place. It's gone." My stomach dropped. Not the fire break. Not now, in the heart of fire season, with the air thick with the scent of parched sagebrush and the constant hum of wildfire warnings on the radio. That 10-foot strip of bare dirt wasn't just a pat hit, was our lifeline, the one thing standing between our homes and the RAVY's tinderbox of dry brush. Old man Carver, who owned my place before me, used to say, "Boy, this ain't about aesthetics. This is about not waking up to a wall of flames when the winds kick up." He knew. Claudia, apparently, did not. We bolted to the back of my lot, and their Wazer, rather, wasn't. The fire break, our first line of defense, had vanished. In its place was a scene so absurdly reckless it felt like a punch to the gut. A pristine layer of pale gray gravel, dotted with wispy, flammable ornamental grasses that might as well have been labeled arsonist's delight. And there, in the middle of it all, stood Claudia, her smug smile as sharp as her manicured nails, directing a nervous landscaper who was arranging a decorative boulder with the precision of a bomb technician. "Claudia!" My voice came out like a whip, louder than I meant, but calm was a distant memory. "What in the name of sanity is this?" She turned, her smile tightening into that look of someone who just won a game you didn't know you were playing. "Good morning, Jacob," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "A fine day for community enhancement, don't you think?" "Enhancement?" Nate sputtered beside me, his fist clenched. "Claudia, that was the fire break." She tapped her clipboard, unfazed. "Exactly. An ugly, overgrown dirt track that some residents let become a hazard." Her eyes flicked to me, pointed. "This," she gestured to the gravel and grasses, "is a tasteful, HOA-approved solution. Safer, too. The gravel's a natural barrier." I swear I felt my brain short-circuit. "Safer? Claudia, it's gravel. And those plants? They're kindling. We're under a red flag warning. The news is screaming wildfire Armageddon every hour." The landscaper, a young guy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, muttered, "I just do what she says, man." She said the old path was a mess. A mess. I took a step closer, my voice trembling with the effort to stay CIVYL. "That mess is on the county fire map as defensible space. My insurance gives me a discount because of it. It's what keeps that RAVYNE from turning our homes into charcoal." Claudia puffed up, her beige blazer practically bristling. "Jacob, I won't tolerate your hysterics. I consulted a brochure on fire-resistant landscaping. This is perfectly adequate. The fire department can access us from the street if needed." That scruffy path was redundant. "A brochure," I whispered, the word catching in my throat like a bone. She'd gutted our safety with a brochure. "Are you out of your mind?" Her eyes narrowed. "That's enough. This is an official HOA action, complete and final. And frankly, Jacob, it looks better." With that, she spun on her heel and marched off, Leah VYing staring at a disaster in the making. Nate looked at me, his voice hollow. "A brochure, Jake. She's doomed us with a brochure." My mind was racing. This wasn't just HOA nonsense anymore. This was about Sir VY Valmy Home, Nate's, dozens of others. With the winds already rustling the dry brush, we didn't have time for polite complaints. Claudia had lit a fuse, and I was going to snuff it out, even if it meant going nuclear. I tried the proper channels first. An emergency HOA Zoom call was a farce Claudia dominated, dismissing me as overly dramatic. She waved her brochure like a trophy, and a jittery board member named Leonard mumbled, "Well, she's the president," and the brochure had nice photos. Photos. I wanted to scream. My insurance, which actually deals with real risks, cited that fire break as a reason our premiums weren't astronomical. Claudia scoffed. "Your insurance is misinformed. Jacob, probably in league with your paranoia." Then she muted me. Useless. Next, I called the fire department. Captain Martinez was sympathetic but helpless. "Mr. Larson, what she did sounds reckless, but HOAs are private entities. Unless there's an active fire, we can't force her to fix it. Best I can do is send a liaison to talk to her maybe next week." Next week, the winds were set to howl tomorrow. I thanked him and hung up, frustration boiling over. City planning was more of the same forms, promises, no action. Everyone agreed Claudia's move was idiotic, but no one could act fast enough. I was pacing my garage, which, I'll admit, is more like a small arsenal than a place to park cars. Nate slumped on a stool, looking like he needed a shot of something stronger than coffee. "So what? We wait for a spark, grab some shovels, and fix it ourselves." I gestured at my phone's weather app, a sea of red alerts. "Nate, a weekend's too late." And Claudia? She'd have the cops on us for touching her precious gravel. "So what, man? You gonna sneak out with a bulldozer?" Nate joked, but his eyes were desperate. I stopped pacing. My gaze landed on a photo on my workbench, grinning next to the massive nose of a Sikorsky S-64 Skycrane helicopter from a past job hauling equipment in the desert. A grin spread across my face, slow and dangerous. Nate's eyes widened. "Jake, that's your I'm about to do something insane look." "Not insane," I said, the plan forming like a storm cloud. "Precise. How fast can we get a Skycrane here?" Nate blinked. "A Skycrane? Those giant things that lift tanks? You're serious?" I was already dialing. "Claudia wants a tasteful landscape? I'll give her one she'll never forget." First call was to Hank, a grizzled pilot who ran a heavy-lift helicopter VYC for jobs no one else touched. "Jake Larson," he grunted. "What did you break this time?" "Novodaki, Fank. Landscaping emergency. How fast can you get Betsy airborne and over to Sunny Ridge?" Silence, then a dry laugh. "Landscaping? With Betsy? You drunk? Dead serious. It's a fire break, Hank. Public safety. Can you do it?" Another pause. "You're nuts, but I'm in. 3 hours, maybe 4 with setup. You got the permits?" "The landing zone clear." "Permits are in progress," I said, fudging the truth. "Landing zone's my backyard. It's big enough." Hank sighed. "You owe me, Larson. Big. And if your HOA lady chucks rocks at Betsy, I'm charging double." "Deal," I said. "Coffee's on me." Next, I called Tom and Ryan's heavy-duty landscaping. They were local, loved a challenge, and worked fast for the right price. "Jake, my man," Tom answered. "What's up?" "Your hedges staging a coup. Bigger. I need 200 yards of aggressive brush clearing, 10 feet wide, bare dirt in 4 hours. Triple your emergency rate, plus a bonus for speed." A whistle. 4 hours? "We're slammed, Jake. That's a full day's work." Ryan chimed in. "What's doing the heavy lifting?" "You got a secret bulldozer." "Think higher," I said. "Much higher. Just be here at 1 p.m. with gear and safety glasses. You won't want to miss this." They agreed, Halfcon VY, and said I was pranking them. Now for the tricky part dealing with the law, before Hank even arrived. As I dragged my patio furniture out of the landing zone, 2 police cruisers pulled up. Officers Bennett and Salazar stepped out, Bennett looking like he'd seen it all, Salazar younger but wary. Across the street, Claudia was on her porch, phone to her ear, radiating fury. "Officers," she called, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "This man's planning to destroy HOA property with an illegal aircraft. He's unhinged." Bennett approached, hand on his belt. "Mr. Larson? Got a call about a disturbance. Something about aircraft and landscaping." I wiped sweat from my brow. "Officers, Claudia's replaced a critical fire break with gravel and flammable plants. We're in a red flag warning. I'm fixing it before this RAVY, and he burns us all down." Salazar raised an eyebrow. With an aircraft? A helicopter, I said. Specialized vegetation removal. Claudia stormed over, hovering at my lawn's edge. He's lying. He's dumping toxins or building a secret helipad. I sighed. Claudia, it's my backyard, not a helipad. And the only thing getting dumped is your gravel. Bennett glanced at the sky, then back at Claudia. Ma'am, he hasn't done anything yet, and landscaping disputes aren't exactly high-priority crimes. To me, he said, a helicopter in a residential zone needs permits, FAA clearance, the works. Working on it, I said, flashing an old emergency responder ID for effect. It's all by the book, officers. Public safety. Salazar smirked, clearly intrigued. Bennett stayed stone-faced. As long as you're not breaking laws right now, we'll watch from a distance. Mrs. Vance, let him handle his landscaping. They parked down the street, ready for the show. Claudia, fuming, was back on her phone, no doubt calling every authority she could think of. Then it came the low, bone-rattling thump of Betsy's rotors. It started faint, like a far-off storm, then grew until my windows vibrated. Neighbors spilled onto their lawns, phones out, drawn by the noise and Claudia's shrieks. Nate leapt up from my porch. Jake, is that her? Over the ridge she came, Betsy, a towering orange beast, a mechanical dragon built to lift the impossible. She circled once, slow and deliberate, then descended toward my backyard. The rotor wash-hit like a tornado, flattening Claudia's prized marigolds and sending gravel pinging off fences. Claudia screamed about floral terrorism, but the roar drowned her out. Tom and Ryan's truck pulled up. They gaped at Betsy, jaws slack. You weren't kidding, Tom stammered. Hank's voice crackled over my radio. Larson, this LZ's tighter than a bank vault. That pine tree's GIVYing me attitude. You got this, Hank, I shouted, while VYing hand signals like a frantic air traffic controller. The cops were out of their cars, sunglasses on, looking like they'd stumbled into a blockbuster. Claudia was in full meltdown, yelling about calling the governor, the FAA, the helicopter president. Betsy hovered 30 feet above my lawn, a custom mulching head dangling beneath her 12 feet of spinning, concrete-chewing teeth. Hank, target acquired, I radioed. That gravel and those fire hazard plants. Let's give Claudia a landscaping lesson. And then chaos. For minutes of pure, earth-shaking madness. The mulching head roared to life, shredding Claudia's gravel, grasses, and weed barrier into a biodegradable blizzard. Hank guided it with surgical precision, carving a perfect 10-foot firebreak where her folly once stood. Dirt and debris flew, but the force was aimed away from the houses. Tom and Ryan, after a stunned moment, grabbed rakes. Tidying the edges like this was routine. Claudia tried filming, but the rotor wash whipped her hair into her face, making her look like she was wrestling a possessed wig. Salazar was recording, grinning. Bennett shook his head, a faint smile breaking through. It was chaos, glorious and unstoppable, the ultimate act of suburban rebellion. For minutes later, it was done. Hank lifted the mulching head, and Betsy hovered, letting the dust settle. The firebreak was back raw, clean, perfect. Hank radioed, landscaping complete, Larson. Tell Marigold Murderer my girl runs on spite for bad HOAs. With a final dip, Betsy climbed, circled once, and thumped back over the ridge. The silence was deafening, broken only by Claudia's strangled gasps. Everyone, Nate, the neighbors, Tom, Ryan, even the cop stared at the pristine scarf's safety. I walked to the edge, breathing in earth and jet fuel, the scent of VY Tory. I turned to Claudia, her face pale, a lone grass blade in her hair. Looks better, don't you think? I said, smiling wide. Defensible. Aligned with, not burning our homes down. She spluttered, You vandal. You'll hear from my lawyer, the HOA, the city. Bennett strolled over, calm as ever. Mrs. Vance, the trail's cleared, and Mr. Larson's got some loud friends. Unless you've got a specific law he's broken, we're done here. Salazar muttered. Never seen an HOA fight settled with their support. Beats a petition. Claudia stormed off, phone glued to her ear, no doubt plotting legal revenge. Nate clapped my shoulder. Jake, you're insane and my hero. Beers on me for a year. Tom and Ryan smoothed the firebreak's edges, earning their triple rate and a witnessed an apocalypse bonus. Some neighbors gawked in horror, loyal to Claudia's flammable VY sound. Others, who'd lived through past fire scares, flashed thumbs-ups. Mrs. Carver, an old neighbor, brought me cookies. My Henry would have loved this, she said. Sometimes you fight fire with something bigger. Hank's invoice hit my inbox the next day eye-watering, but worth every cent for the memory of Claudia's marigolds in the wind. The HOA forum exploded, a mix of outrage and awe, with rumors I was ex-CIA. A few days later, a legal letter arrived from Vance, Crowley, and Pierce LLP, citing destruction of HOA property and emotional distress to ornamental flora. I called my lawyer, Sarah, who laughed so hard she nearly choked. Jake, they're suing you for SAVYing the neighborhood? This is 90 fan tram bluster. Claudia's reckless endangerment trumps her brochure. I'll make this vanish. The FAA complaint? Dismissed. Hank's record for emergency vegetation management was airtight. Life in Sunny Ridge settled into a new normal. The firebreak, now dubbed Jake's Line or Betsy's Bite, is clearer than ever. Neighbors walk it at dusk, enjoying the RAVYNEVYUs. Claudia glares but stays quiet, her marigolds limping back to life. HOA meetings are tamer, with talk of bylaws requiring actual experts for safety projects. Imagine that. Last night, I sat on my patio, beer in hand, the RAVYNE glowing under a starry sky. Nate wandered over with a six-pack. They're still talking about it at the hardware store, he said. You're a legend, Jake. Think Claudia learned her lesson. I grinned. Her? Nah. She's probably plotting a moat to keep me out. But no one's touching that firebreak again. I raised my beer to common sense, good friends, and the undeniable truth that sometimes the only way to stop a Karen with a bad idea is with a Skycrane named Betsy. So what do you think? Was I a hero for SAVYing the neighborhood, or a reckless VY Gilani who went too far? Should HOAs have the power to mess with critical safety features, or do they need tighter oversight? Would you have fought Claudia with a Skycrane or a lawsuit? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you're Team Jake, and subscribe for more stories where common sense battles bureaucracy and wins.